Alright guys, so when I do a review on any equipment, I want to make sure that it has been through all the tests of whether it's been through a season or a year or something like that. I don't like to do a review immediately after we run the equipment one time because that really doesn't tell everything for me. I want to know how well it holds up with just throughout running the entire season, and not with me running it but with our crew, because I'm going to take great care of it. Our guys take great care of it as well, but they're not going to be as sensitive to it as I would be. So what I'm going to review today is right here, and that is going to be the Earth and Turf top dresser and the Eco 150. Now both of these we run. The Eco 150 I believe is on its second or third season, and the Earth and Turf has completed its first season, and we use both of them. We will continue to use both of them, but I have some things that I really like about them, and there are a couple things I don't, so I can kind of help you out. And if you're trying to choose between one or the other, this will give you a little bit of guidance through them. I'll start with the Eco 150, and really the reason why we chose this one over the one that's a little bit bigger, I believe it's the Eco 200, is really the cost. At the time we didn't have a full schedule all the time with it, so we saved a little bit of money and went with the smaller one. Not a big deal, I don't regret it one bit. And we use this one for the properties that are a little bit bigger, that have the more wide open areas, because this has a spinner on it, just kind of like a fertilizer spreader. So it throws about 2 feet outside the wheels on each side, so it gives kind of a wide pattern. And the Earth and Turf is more of a drop top dresser, so it drops it straight down, so you can see where you can cover a lot more square foot faster with this one. So we have a lot of properties that are going to be 6,000 square feet and above, and that's where this one kind of comes in, where we have more wide open areas and we just need to cover it faster. That's the use for this one. And for the Earth and Turf, this one is actually a great machine. It drops it straight down, so when you've got a lot of tight areas and you don't need to sling compost all over in somebody's beds, whether it's rock or driveways or anything like that, this one actually, the conveyor's right up under here, and it just kind of flings it and drops straight down, and basically reduces the amount of mess if you're trying to work through some narrow areas, side yards and stuff like that. And what I will go over is the application quality. So the material that we're using is pretty well screened, but you always have clumps or something like that. This machine, I feel like, does the best job of the actual application. When we're running it, this brush right here, it actually kind of pulverizes any pieces that are there and kind of flicks them down, and it lands pretty well in the grass. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's the way it kind of flings it down in there. It's probably a combination, or because it pulverizes everything really fine. I do find that this one drops the material down in the canopy of the turf a lot better than the Eco Lawn. This one, like I said, does a great job of covering a large area, but basically it's going to run through here. Any large clumps may or may not get broken up by the spinner, and they get flung out, and so you might have a little bit bigger chunk sitting out there. And also, when it's coming out at an angle versus dropping straight down, I feel like it's not kind of flicked into the canopy. I do prefer the Earth and Turf for that reason. So the next thing we'll go over is the fuel consumption, because that's where they seem to be quite different. The earth and turf will go through the fuel quite a bit faster. I believe they're about the same size tanks. This one we refill quite a bit. Now it's a heavier machine and it's probably doing a lot more work with the weight, so I can kind of understand it. It's not a deal breaker at all. It's just so you know, you're going to burn through that tank a little bit faster than our Eco Lawn. Now where they kind of start separating on whether I like them or not is going to be on the maintenance. So they're pretty much similar, where we have the conveyor right here. It moves the material down. We've got it on both sides. There are adjustments on both of them to adjust these conveyors. For whatever reason, we adjust this one constantly. It is a weekly, I don't know if I'd say a problem, but is a constant adjusting this to get the band tight enough, the conveyor tight enough to keep moving material. Our guys have learned to put, not even filling it up to the rim right here, even though our compost is not heavy at all. We're putting in actually less material in this one than over in the earth and turf. So I think that's one of the problems with it. The other thing is that with the spinner, any chunks or even a rock that may get through the screening process, it'll get caught up in the spinner right here and you'll get it wedged. This is why these are bent over, because it'll get wedged right here in this gap, and it'll stop the machine, stop the blade from turning. Your compost just kind of dumps out, and now we've got some bent metal in here. That's one of the other problems I have with it. So I'm maintaining both of them. They're pretty similar to where, we've got some grease points. We want to stay on top of it. You don't want to slack on any of the maintenance, because they will come up and bite you, and probably while you're out there working. And one of those is keeping it clean, which we'll go over here in a minute. Parts wise, I will have to say that when you need to replace something on the Eco Lawn, they're extremely expensive. We've had to replace a few of them. They're not cheap. They're gonna bite you pretty quick. But it is very easy to work on. We easily dismantle this whole thing to replace the conveyor or some of the other components up underneath there. It is actually pretty simple. This one, for the entire season it ran, we really haven't had to do anything. We've made sure everything's clean, adjusted correctly, and other than that, there's not much to it. It has worked for us flawlessly. So that's quite, that's saying quite a bit for it. Zero issues. One of the other things I like to know is the ease of training guys on machines. For whatever reason, this one seems to be a little bit more difficult on training them. I never have any issues with either one of these. This one actually has a brake on it where the Eco Lawn does not. So to me, the earth and turf is going to be a little bit better, but it is just a little bit different, I think, for some of these guys, where we have the handle, so you can, on driving it, just pushing this direction on the bar, you will go backwards or forwards, however you want to look at it, and then pull down and it comes back towards to you. So it's pretty simple. It's everything's pretty easy to operate. This is what's going to engage your belt and the brush, so you can actually top dress. This one is also simple. You just got an arm to engage, and then this is the door to allow more or less material out. Now, cleaning the two is very important. After each day, we will do blow everything off. We'll do a light washing of it, and then on every Friday we will actually get the pressure washer You've got to get inside these belts, get every little bit of material off. The earth and turf is a little bit more difficult to clean because you've got to get the actual pressure washer up in here. And if you look on their website, they actually will show you with their videos on how to clean this, which is very nice because I probably never would have known to get a pressure washer wand up in here to clean it. So they seem to be a really good company on explaining everything, how it works and how to take care of it. So in summary, if I had to pick one or the other for the first machine to operate, I'd actually pick the earth and turf. Like I said, the application, the quality is a lot better. The machine seems to stand up a little bit better with the abuse. I haven't had any issues with it at all. It's if you're going to put out sand, actually it does a great job with sand. So if you need to do a lot of leveling, the sand gets applied really well out of that machine. The company seems to be really easy to work with. It does cost a little bit more. I can't remember what we paid for it, but if time was not a factor, I would run 3 or 4 of these with the crew so we can knock out larger properties. Instead, maybe 2 of these will work and you can get some good sized properties. We will still run both just because this one does have such a wide spread, application spread, and it has a place. But bigger properties, smaller properties, keeping everything clean, this one seems to be a little bit more reliable and cheaper to fix. So that's kind of what I have. That's my thoughts between the two. Both of these have done a lot of work, made a lot of money for us, and I think either way you're going to be satisfied. But if you're looking for one, the earth and turf is my vote. Well, if y'all have any questions, just leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you. Thanks a lot.